Good day, you're watching the news from Kazakhstan. Here are the top stories. A student was convicted as the main suspect in the Alnur Musayev's kidnapping case was declared not guilty in Austria. 3 layoff workers of the Aktobe gas company claim this is an employer's revenge for their June protest actions. More veterans protesting against the demolition of the military hospital claiming authorities have hidden agenda. The trial over the National Security Committee ex-leader Alnur Musayev's kidnapping attempt case was completed yesterday. In September 2008, Musayev was reportedly kidnapped and beaten up by 3 unidentified men in Vienna, Austria, where the ex-intelligence agency leader was escaping after being charged in the crime by the Kazakh authorities. Musayev was able to escape from the kidnappers and later claimed that it was organized by the Kazakh diplomat Nurlan Abzhanov. It was reported by the Kazakh service of the Radio Liberty with reference to the Austrian Österreich online news agency. Abzhanov was able to avoid punishment because of his diplomatic immunity, while his assistant, a Kazakh student whose name is kept in secret, was sentenced to 18 months of imprisonment, followed by 3-year probation.
This is already the second trial over the fact of attempts to kidnap Alnur Musayev from Austria. Kazakh businessman Ildar Ahmetsafin, figuring in the case as the main suspect, was declared not guilty. The kidnapping and attacks on Musayev is linked to the intelligence agent's attempts to kidnap President's ex-son-in-law and Kazakhstan's ex-ambassador to Austria, Rahat Aliyev, who had become Nazarbayev's main opponent in 2007 and ever since is escaping abroad. Both Musayev and Aliyev allegedly possess state secrets, which the government is not keen to disclose. In August last year, Musayev made a sensational statement during the interview for the Kronen Zeitung newspaper, according to which all the charges against Rahat Aliyev are fully comply with the reality.
To the other news, interest holders demanded the authorities to instigate administrative and criminal cases against the Kazakh Prime Minister Karim Masimov in Astana yesterday. They intend to back up their lawsuits with the appeals to the general prosecutor and corresponding claim. Interest holders in Astana who are protesting for the 48th day claim that they have no choice but to appeal to the court to bring the Prime Minister to legal accountability with officials' inactivity charges, since he has been simply ignoring their demand to cancel the state decree, according to which one citizen can own only one premise at a time. Activists intend to apply to file a criminal case to the General Prosecutor's Office. According to them, the government had indeed assisted the banks by supposedly trying to settle the mortgages' problems. Thus, it had interfered the activities of private entities. Then, banks dealt with only those mortgages who had good records of covering debts on timely manner previously. We were confident that we would win this trial because we dealt with similar case against Prime Minister in 2008. Back then, though, the answers of the Prime Minister were presented in the trial. We expect him now to present clear answers to our questions this time. We expect only positive answers. Another unsanctioned gathering was held in front of the Southern Kazakhstan Regional Court building. Women residents of the Saragash village attempted to conduct a self-immolation act right in front of the court during the protest. Police had interfered timely. Next report has the details. 60-year-old Gulistan Kilibayeva has attempted a self-immolation on Tuesday. The mother of 4 children has picketed the building of the South Kazakhstan Regional Court with a group of Saragash residents. The action has started at 11 a.m. First, the picketers were observed by 4 police officers, but when women have tried to enter the court building, the number of police officers immediately increased to several dozen. This is when Gulistan took out the kerosene and started pouring it on herself. I will burn myself in front of Agorda. Why does he has to sit in prison for 8 years? He is the only son of my brother. The story has created a resonance in the society. According to the victim, almost a year ago at 5 in the morning, 3 young men have picked her up on the road and promised to get her home and raped instead. Later, the district court have completely discharged the suspects, whereas the regional court has revised the verdict and sentenced the rapists to 8 years in the colony for each. Today the relatives have conducted an illegal protest. I think that it is illegal because they should have permission from the responsible bodies. The chairman of the appeals board has offered women to appeal the decision of the South Kazakhstan Regional Court in the superior instance. Police is currently preparing documents for the transfer to the administrative court. Most likely women will be fined. 3 employees of the Chinese CNPC Aktobe gas company were dismissed for alleged non-attendance. Workers, however, claim that this is employers' revenge for their June 15 strike actions, during which they demanded to increase their salaries. Non-attendance was 3 or more hours without a reasonable excuse had served as subject for dismissal. 3 activists of the Narazılık Independent Trade Union also got under the employer's persecution, and the court had admitted Karlыбay Talıbayev, Kosayin Kulmuratov and Serek Bitikbayev as organizers of the strike and fined them.
We are suspects in the trial, and as we attended it, we are fined for non-attendance. We were also fined for $5.
Workers claim that the layoff is illegitimate since only demerits or disciplinary penalties can serve as subjects for dismissal. In June 15, the strike action was joined by some 400 workers. Those dismissed are sure that anyone who was protesting the company's action will sooner or later be punished, and their employment will be terminated as well. Meanwhile, 3 labor activists have sued the company and are going to appeal to the General Prosecutor's Office, demanding to restore them in their positions. As a matter of fact, the official trade union had sided with the employer in this case, while the staff supports the dismissed workers. Well, how come the Chinese company owns our mineral deposits and employs their own human resources? Kazakh workers receive only $200 or $300 per month only. Not talking about the worsening of environment. They don't get compensated for ecology damage. So we will do everything we can to support them. The World War II veterans protested against the demolition of the military hospital located in the foothills of Zaili Alatau. Authorities found the hospital building to be dangerous for further exploitation and therefore intend to accommodate its patients in other hospitals in the town, while veterans have opposite opinion about this endeavor. Next report, Esmo.
Hands away from this hospital before new one will be built. That's right. Why? Because the Chernobyl victims, Afghan veterans, die every day. On August 11, the Almaty Emergency Situation Department had resolved that the National World War II Veterans Hospital building is dangerous to exploit. However, the Healthcare Ministry decision to demolish the hospital and temporarily relocate patients at other hospitals throughout the downtown, while a new one will be constructed, had outraged the war veterans. It's planned to construct a brand new building to accommodate 240 cots on the base of the extremely old and outdated premise. I have no information about anything like transferring the land to private ownership or anything like that. I heard it for the first time from these people. The World War II Veterans Union Coordination Council chair under the Almaty City administration, Murat Abdushakurov, claims the territory of the hospital on 11 hectares allows to construct a new building without having to demolish the old one. We have information about the plans to remove the hospital from this place. Therefore, we are preparing an inquiry to the president, as he can be the only guarantor in this situation. Veterans' concerns are based upon 3 facts. Firstly, there is no technical and economical ground for constructing the new building. Secondly, the vouchers for treatment at the hospitals are not distributed anymore. During Soviet time, the hospital occupied a territory of 26 hectares. After gaining independence under various circumstances, 15 hectares of its land were taken over. Now that place features fashionable cottages and restaurants.
Almaty city authorities started the restoration works of the apartment block number 46, which was on fire last weekend. 12 flats were completely destroyed as a result. All the necessary communications were established in the building by now. However, the damage size and estimates have still not been established. Officials promised to complete the restoration works within few more weeks.
The apartment block in the Almaty's Juldis micro-district must become a showpiece, despite it had been on fire twice. Such was the promise of the Turksip district administration deputy head Tanat Aydarbekov during the meeting with the mentioned house residents. As the reconstruction is underway, the official informed that utility services such as gas and electricity supply will now be served without interruptions. Regardless of the costs and expenses related with the reconstruction, it will be fully paid by the contractor. The restoration works were assigned to the Komsnapstroy enterprise, which had completed the construction of the building 3 years ago in the framework of the national program. The fire codes and damage size had not been yet established. Residents of the 12 fully destroyed flats are temporarily accommodated in the local hotel. The Puzdalins family does not feel comfortable living with children in one room. Let's hope that all their promises will be fulfilled. They actually sound quite convincing. The fire had damaged 12 flats and 40 people lost their homes. Restoring the communication was appreciated by the residents of the undamaged apartments, which was celebrated during a picnic.
A Russian political scientist, Salazobov, had presented his book entitled The Kazakhstan's Path to Leadership in Astana yesterday, featuring mainly positive sides of the country's leadership, which wasn't necessarily supported by some European Parliament members. Next report has more. The Russian political scientist Yuri Salazobov has dedicated a book to the Nazarbayev's phenomenon. The writer has praised the president while presenting 2 volumes of the book in the Astana National Library. The author assures that even the absence of forest fires and the endless Kazakh steppes is the merit of the current president. The writer also criticized the opponents of the law on the leader of nation. According to him, the time has come to erect a monument dedicated to Nursultan Nazarbayev long ago. There's an opinion that if Nazarbayev would be the USSR Prime Minister, it would never collapse. This is the opinion of state officials and ordinary people. The member of the European Parliament, Joe Higgins, has a totally different view. During these days, he met with the activists of the oppositional parties of Kazakhstan. EU MP is confident that the stack of accepted laws on the leader of nation is already a monument which is dedicated to the violation of fundamental rights and freedoms.
It's fundamentally undemocratic. Nobody should be allowed to be in power for life. It encourages.
Alga Party activists agree with parliamentarian Higgins. Since early summer, they are trying to express their protest against the scandalous amendments. Today, another court hearing was held in the Astana court, examining the petitions of the activists over the decision of the first instance court. The Alga members have filed lawsuits against 3 high-ranking officials with the demand to accept the visas for the documents illegal. However, their petition was rejected. Today, they arrived to find justice. There's a very little hope, but we still have to appeal to all these instances until the end. The judge Adilkhan Kasenov ruled to maintain the decision of the previous instance intact. However, the activists have already predicted such an outcome. They were convinced that the laws written for one person will be never abolished in Kazakhstan. The BTA Bank had successfully completed the restructuring of its debts. It was stated by the Samro-Kazana National Welfare Fund yesterday. The Finance Control Agency board members reviewed and approved the report on completion of all the measures within the framework of the BTA Bank restructuring plan. The BTA Bank had fulfilled all the restructuring obligations assigned by the Financial Control Agency, including distribution of the shares and new debentures. Starting September, the bank will function regularly. The bank had stopped operations on principal amount of loan payments by its creditors. An external debt restructuring plan last year in April. Total amount of the external debt was estimated at $13 billion. This is all for now. Thank you for watching us. See you tomorrow.